Have you ever felt like you're working non-stop but still feel like you're standing still? A long day passes with meetings, tasks, and endless to-do lists, but when you look back, you can't see any real progress. You start to ask yourself, am I lazy? Or why can't I keep my energy up like I used to? Let me share a story about a friend of mine, John. John is incredibly smart and passionate about his work. He starts his day with a cup of coffee, checks his emails, schedules meetings, and constantly races against time. Everything moves quickly, but by the end of the week, he feels exhausted. Not because he's worked too hard, but because he feels like he hasn't made any real progress. He wonders if he's not patient enough or motivated enough. One day, John decided to attend a time management seminar, and that's when everything started to change. He learned something very important. Burnout isn't caused by a lack of effort or persistence. Burnout happens when you don't have a system, a clear structure to guide you through work and life. If you're working without knowing your goals and roadmap, you'll end up burnt out without understanding why. Burnout is not laziness. It's a sign of a lack of organization and structure. Imagine driving a car at full speed, but without a map. You're still moving, but you don't know where you're going, and as a result, you're just going around in circles without reaching your destination. If you don't have a clear system to guide you in your work and life, you're more likely to fall into burnout without realizing it. Structure doesn't just help you work more effectively, it helps you feel like you're on the right path, doing the right things, and not getting swept up in meaningless tasks. So how do we escape this state? The answer is, build a structure for your life. For John, when he started planning his days, setting clear priorities and creating organized habits, he didn't just reduce burnout. He also found that work became easier and more enjoyable. He learned how to focus on what mattered most instead of chasing after everything. Now I want you to think about yourself. Are you working without a clear system? Are your activities leading to long-term goals? Or are they just endless tasks? Once we become aware of this, we can start building systems, creating habits, and setting schedules that will help us manage our energy more effectively. That's the first step in overcoming burnout. And in the next section, we'll explore how to build discipline and habits to maintain that structure, so you can not only work more effectively, but also maintain your energy throughout the day. We all have days when it feels like we have too much energy, but in the end, we still feel exhausted. Have you ever felt like you're a machine running endlessly, but not knowing where you're going? All that energy, all that effort just becomes a whirlpool, leaving you tired without making any progress. Let me take you back to Sarah, the friend I mentioned earlier. After realizing that burnout wasn't about a lack of effort, Sarah decided to adopt a new way of working. She started her day with the intention of getting a lot done because she thought she had too much energy and no reason not to use it all. However, after a few days, Sarah realized that even though she was doing a lot, nothing really gave her a sense of satisfaction. Everything felt like an endless series of activities. And despite feeling physically and mentally drained, her work wasn't progressing. The main reason Sarah felt exhausted wasn't that she was working too much, but because she lacked a system to organize her work. She had too much energy, but no clear structure to guide her in the right direction. When we have energy but don't know how to use it in an organized way, it just becomes wasted energy. It's like a race car running at full speed, but without a racetrack to follow. We quickly run out of energy without achieving any goals. Energy without structure doesn't just leave you lost, it makes you exhausted. We need to learn how to focus our energy on what matters most, rather than just chasing whatever comes our way. Think about those days when you feel like you've worked non-stop, but still end up feeling like you've gotten nowhere. You've worked all day, answered emails, joined meetings, but at the end of the day, you still feel tired and even disappointed in what you've done. That's a sign of a lack of structure. It's not that you lack energy, it's that you don't know how to use your energy strategically. So, how can we avoid this situation? The simple answer is, create a specific plan and schedule for each day. Sarah started to realize that when she planned her day and clearly identified the important tasks to do, she not only felt better, but also achieved more goals. She broke the day into fixed time slots for work, rest, and energy recovery. That's when she began to notice the difference. Now, do you see it? When you have a clear structure and know how to allocate your energy to important tasks, everything becomes much easier and more effective. In the next section, we'll explore how to build discipline and habits to maintain that structure, helping you not only work more effectively, but also protect your energy every day. Discipline and routine, two words we've probably all heard many times, but few truly understand their power. In a world full of choices and distractions, discipline becomes the key to unlocking the door to success. But why discipline? Why can routines be so powerful? I remember a friend of mine named Emily. She was a very creative person with a lot of amazing ideas, but she always struggled to bring them to life. Every day, Emily worked spontaneously, letting inspiration lead her. Some days she woke up at 7 a.m., other days it was 9 a.m., sometimes she worked non-stop until late at night, and on other days, she wasted time being lazy. At first, she thought that creativity and inspiration were the most important things, but after some time, she realized that no matter how many ideas she had, she still couldn't complete them. One day, Emily decided to try a change. She began establishing a routine every morning. She woke up earlier, planned each hour of her day, and identified important priorities. Although it was difficult at first, Emily persisted with this routine every day. After a few weeks, she was surprised to notice a miracle. She not only completed tasks faster, but also felt better emotionally. She no longer felt stressed about not knowing what to do next. Instead, every day was a clear preparation with a purpose. Discipline and routine are the elements that create true freedom. When you establish a solid routine, you no longer have to worry about small daily decisions. Instead, you can focus on what matters most and achieve your goals efficiently. A routine is not a restriction. It's the way you free yourself from the fatigue of having to make decisions all day long. How do you start? Simple. Begin with a small habit that you can maintain every day, such as waking up a little earlier, planning your day before starting work, or reading a chapter of a book each evening. These small habits, if practiced consistently, will create big changes in your life. When Emily began building simple but effective habits, she took control of her energy and time. She didn't just complete tasks, she also felt more confident and happier throughout her work process. But discipline doesn't just stop at maintaining habits. Discipline is also the ability to persist and work in the right direction, even when inspiration fades. In the next section, we'll explore how to create stability in your life by building habits that bring balance between work and rest, helping you avoid burnout and maintain enthusiasm in your work. We often think of rest as a reward after completing a task. Once I finish this, I'll rest, we tell ourselves, but in reality, rest is not a gift you give yourself after working hard. Rest is an essential part of maintaining your energy, focus, and overall health. And more than that, rest is a strategy that helps you work more effectively. Let's return to Sarah's story, the friend I shared earlier. One of Sarah's biggest problems was that she always felt she didn't have time to rest. She believed that only after finishing her work could she deserve a break. Sarah worked all day from morning till night with no time for herself. She drank coffee constantly, worked late into the night, and thought that the more she worked, the closer she would get to her goals. But the truth was, she felt exhausted, burned out, and her mind was always stressed. By not taking proper rest, Sarah unknowingly slowed her progress and made herself even more depleted. This is when Sarah realized an important truth. Rest is not a waste of time. It is an essential part of recovery and working effectively. When your body and mind don't get enough rest, you won't be able to maximize your energy no matter how hard you work. A real-life example is Tim Ferriss, the author of The 4-Hour Workweek. He is famous for applying principles of effective working. In his book, Tim shares that he always sets aside fixed times during the day for relaxation and rest, no matter how busy his work is. He even takes breaks between meetings, using that time to walk or meditate, which helps him regenerate energy and work more effectively for the rest of the day. Rest is necessary for maintaining energy and work efficiency. No one can work continuously without taking a break. Rest is when your body and mind recover, preparing you for the next task. Furthermore, when you rest properly, not only do you recharge your energy, but you also help yourself think more clearly and make better decisions. So how do you start? Create regular breaks throughout the day. These could be short breaks after every hour of work, a 5-minute walk, or taking a few minutes to breathe deeply and relax. The important thing is to see rest not as a reward, but as an indispensable part of your working process. In the next section, we'll explore how to manage time effectively, because when you know how to balance work and rest, you'll not only work more efficiently, but also protect your health and focus. You've probably been in this situation. A friend or colleague asks you for help, and immediately you feel compelled to say yes. You say yes because you don't want to disappoint them, because you think you can do just a little more, or simply because you don't want to miss an opportunity. But then, after agreeing, you feel exhausted, anxious, and in the end, your work piles up. And you ask yourself, why can't I say no? I remember once, a close friend of mine, Lily, found herself in a similar situation. Lily is a very dedicated person, always looking out for others. But it was this very dedication that led her to take on too much. Projects at work, helping her friends, and even participating in community activities. She thought she could do everything. However, the more she did, the more drained and stressed she became. She no longer felt passionate about her work and even felt a lack of energy whenever she helped others. One morning, Lily asked herself a simple but profound question. Why do I say yes to everything when I no longer have the energy to keep going? The answer, she realized, was the lack of an important ability: knowing how to say no decisively. Saying no, or in other words, knowing how to decline, isn't selfish or a lack of concern for others. In fact, saying no is a way to protect yourself so that you can continue helping others without depleting your health and energy. When you don't know how to decline, you easily let others take over your time and energy, which leads to burnout. A real-life example from Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, can help us better understand the power of saying no. Bill Gates once shared that he never hesitated to decline meetings or projects that didn't align with his long-term goals. He understood that his time was limited, and if he didn't say no, he wouldn't have the time for the most important projects. Knowing how to say no is an essential skill to protect your energy and health. When you learn to decline unnecessary tasks or those that don't align with your goals, not only do you protect your time and energy, but you also help yourself focus on what truly matters. So how do you start? Try saying no to small requests each day. Decline activities that don't bring you closer to your goals. Don't feel guilty for saying no. Consider it a way of taking care of yourself so that you can have the strength to do what truly matters. In the next section, we'll explore how to manage time effectively. Because when you know how to say no intelligently, you'll have enough time and energy to focus on what's truly important and brings long-term value. We all have those days when it feels like we're working non-stop, but we don't see any real results. Have you ever asked yourself, how much time did I spend working today? How much energy did I invest in important things? These questions often get overlooked, but if you can answer them clearly, you'll find your life becoming more transparent and easier to manage. I remember once while working with a friend, James, he felt very tired but couldn't explain why. Every day he woke up at 7 a.m. and worked until 10 p.m., but the sense of accomplishment seemed missing. He worked hard, but still felt drained and didn't achieve his desired goals. After some time, James decided to start tracking his time and energy. He recorded every activity he did, from the moment he woke up until he went to sleep, and especially noted how he felt after each activity to see what truly energized him and what drained him. After a week, James discovered something interesting. He had spent too much time in unnecessary meetings and distractions, while neglecting important tasks that brought him a sense of satisfaction. This caused him to feel exhausted without achieving any clear results. James's story is not rare. In fact, many of us live without knowing exactly where our time and energy are going. Tracking your time and energy is a simple yet powerful way to answer those important questions. When you record your activities and feelings, you'll easily recognize gaps in how you manage your time and the sources of energy that are being wasted. For example, Elon Musk, one of the founders of Tesla and SpaceX, is famous for his effective time management skills. He shares that one way he maintains focus and high productivity is by planning every minute of his day. He closely tracks every activity he does and ensures everything serves his larger goals. Tracking time helps Elon not only save time but also focus on what's important without getting caught up in unproductive activities. Tracking your time and energy doesn't just help you understand how you spend your time, but also helps you identify the important things you're overlooking. When you start tracking, you'll find that you can do more with less time, as long as you allocate your energy and time wisely. So how can you start? Begin by recording your activities each day and how you feel after each task. You can use a notebook or an app on your phone to track. Try doing this for a week, and you'll see small but powerful changes in how you manage your time and energy. In the next section, we'll explore how to create an effective work environment, because when you know how to track and adjust your time and energy, you'll need a supportive workspace to optimize productivity and protect your focus. We can't do everything on our own. The feeling of exhaustion, fatigue, and burnout can easily take over when there's no one to share with, no one to support us. You might be a hard worker, disciplined, and have all the right strategies, but without a strong support system around you, you won't be able to go far. Burnout doesn't just come from work. It also comes from a lack of relationships that bring comfort and support in life. I remember once, I was talking to my close friend, Alex. Alex is very passionate about his work and always works hard to achieve his goals. But one day, he shared with me that he was starting to feel burned out. Work kept piling up. He worked both day and night, and meetings went on until late at night. But no matter how hard he tried, he still felt like he wasn't getting anywhere. He felt alone throughout the whole process, with no one to share the burden with. I advised Alex to do something he hadn't thought of: build a support system. Sometimes to overcome burnout, we need companions, people who understand and share our struggles. These could be family, friends, colleagues, or even a mentor. Alex decided to make a change. He started talking more with friends, asking for help from colleagues, and joined a support group where he could share the challenges he was facing at work. He also participated in group discussions about how to work more effectively and learn from others. Gradually, he began to feel lighter, no longer alone in his journey, and recognized the power of having a strong support system. The lesson here is, you can't do everything on your own. When you build a support system around you, you not only reduce stress, but also create a powerful source of motivation to keep moving forward. Relationships that make you feel understood and supported act as the cushions that prevent you from falling into burnout. For a real-life example, Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Group, has shared that one of the reasons for his success is that he always seeks people who complement him, from dedicated team members to supportive friends. He doesn't work alone, he builds a strong team around him. Everyone needs a strong support system. This system not only helps you overcome burnout, but also helps you grow in work and life. You need people who can help you see the problem from a different perspective, share the pressure, and offer advice when needed. So, where can you start? Build your own support system. This could be having conversations with family members, joining online support groups, or simply finding a mentor to learn from. In the next section, we'll explore how to turn burnout into an opportunity to restructure your life, because when you have a strong support system in place, you'll easily realize that burnout isn't the end. It's an opportunity to start over, find new paths, and become stronger in life. Burnout is not the end. In fact, it can be a great opportunity for you to restructure your life and work. When you feel exhausted and everything seems to be collapsing around you, that's when you need to stop and reflect. Don't think of burnout as a sign of failure. Instead, see it as a reminder that you need to change, to refresh yourself, so that you can move forward and sustain yourself in the long run. I remember once a friend of mine, Anna, shared her story with me. She was a hardworking person who always put work first. She spent hours every day working without taking any time off. But after a long period of doing this, Anna began to feel burned out. And when burnout hit, she could no longer continue the same way. However, instead of giving up, she decided to view burnout as an opportunity to restructure her life. Anna began to think about what truly mattered to her. She realized that she had neglected the things she loved, like painting and traveling, because she was so focused on work. She decided to adopt a new approach. She planned out each week, ensuring that work didn't consume all of her time. She began dedicating time to do the things she loved, to recharge her mental and physical health. Although it wasn't easy, with each step, Anna felt like she was finding herself again. Burnout can be an opportunity to restructure your life and work, to find balance and a new direction. When you feel like your energy is depleted, that's when you need to ask yourself, what is truly important to me? Am I living with purpose? This is the time to change direction, not just to overcome burnout, but to grow stronger. A real-life example is Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, who went through a tough time in his career when he was fired from the very company he founded. However, instead of seeing it as a failure, he turned it into a major turning point in his life. Jobs began to rediscover his creativity and passion, and eventually, he returned to Apple and helped make it one of the world's most powerful tech companies. Jobs didn't let burnout or failure defeat him. He used it as a stepping stone to recreate and grow. Burnout is not the end. It's a turning point that can help you rediscover creativity and passion. When you face burnout, see it as an opportunity to change and reinvent yourself. So how can you turn burnout into your turning point? Take time to think about what's most important to you. Pause for a moment, reflect on your journey, and reassess your goals and values. When you realize what truly matters, you'll be motivated to move forward with strength and sustainability. And in the next section, we'll explore how to build a structured life, not just to overcome burnout, but to create a solid, purposeful, and energized life. Life is a long journey, and it's not always smooth sailing. Sometimes we face challenges, exhaustion, and burnout. But instead of viewing burnout as a sign of failure, see it as an opportunity to start over, reflect on yourself, and find a new path. For in every difficulty, every challenge, there are valuable lessons if we stop and listen. Remember Sarah's story. She found a way to solve burnout not by doing less, but by creating a clear and structured life. Just like James, when he started tracking his time and energy, he realized that only when he managed them properly could he maintain focus and avoid exhaustion. And then there's Anna, who turned burnout into a turning point to restructure her life and rediscover her passions. When you feel exhausted, it's not the time to give up. It's the time to start over. Build a structure for your life. Learn to say no to unnecessary things, manage your time and energy wisely, and create a strong support system around you. These things will not only help you overcome burnout, but also build a meaningful and energetic life. And most importantly, face burnout calmly, Understand its causes and view it as an opportunity for growth. Don't let burnout be the end. Make it a new starting point to restructure your life, rediscover your passion, and tap into your inner strength. So what will you do today to make a change? Are you ready to build a more structured and resilient life? Remember, life isn't always easy, but when you have a solid system in place and know how to take care of yourself, you will always stand strong and face every challenge with resilience. In the next section, we will explore how to continue maintaining and developing a structured life so that you not only overcome burnout, but also keep moving forward with a life full of energy and purpose.